All right, we're going to do a lot of the finish work on this little goofy vase. On this side, I've done some of the work that I'll refer to because I'm not going to finish the entire piece on that side, but I'll refer back to here and show you how to get the process going. First things I would like to do is just kind of do some cleanup. So you can see these little crumbs right there. I'm just going to kind of clean up, go in kind of that undercutting idea. Going to go under the lip so it looks like it hangs over inside the mouth. Maybe do a little bit of deeper carving right here so that bottom lip, so inside the mouth it looks a little bit deeper. That kind of thing. I can start to plan where things go. If you notice, see that shoe? It's kind of simple, but I did a little relief sculpting right here. I just drew a little zigzag to kind of show where the laces might be. I did a little relief sculpting here for the sole. So first I like to draw a pencil line first to get where you're going to work, and I would continue to go around. I would draw a line for where that little toe patch is, and maybe a little line, a little zigzag line. So do that planning first. Then you can take that small tool and carve that line nice and deep. I carved nice and deep around. If you can tell over here, so I'm just going to do a little bit, but then refer back to here like I said. You want to separate some of these things, especially if you can imagine where there might be a different color. Where different colors come next to each other, it's important to have a nice, clean distinction. The blend will make it harder to paint. All right, so I'm just going to do this a little bit. I would go all the way around the toe. Watch this little bit of relief sculpting. Now I'm going to take my paper clip and again, just take a little bit of clay off. I'm going to leave the sole alone and take a little bit of clay off here so that the sole sticks out a little bit farther. That's all there is to that right there. Here, I'm going to, now a lot of students will leave it just like that. And you can, hopefully that's not blurry, you can see kind of the crummy little edge right there. You want to come in here and just softly knock down those little crumbs so it doesn't look like a tool just went through there. Now, on a place like this, on the toe, or on the hand, wherever you're working on something that's sticking out a little farther, you must support it on the underside. I know I keep saying this, but I have lots of pieces come in that are broken. I think this is part of the reason why. Also, part of the reason might be you're working on the clay when maybe it's too dry and it gets real brittle and it'll break very easily. So watch out for that. So the same kind of thing. And again, I'm not finishing. I'll go all the way around. Right here, if I want this little toe patch to look like it's a little bit on top, I'm going to leave the toe patch alone and pull back some of that clay. Give it a little wipe. Just barely touch it to clean it up. Now, hopefully you can tell the toe patch is sticking up a little bit. See if I can get that lighting a little better. Oh, wrong way, sorry. Yeah, that's sticking up a little bit right there. All right, all I did to poke the hole for the eye, I took a paper clip and I just, let me see, where do I want that eye? He looks kind of goofy and silly, so I'm going to make him kind of cross-eyed. So I'm just going to drill, try to carefully drill. Now again, don't leave it like that. See a little crummy edge? See how this one's cleaned off right there? That's the kind of stuff I'm just going to use the tiniest bit of water just to kind of clean that. And all the time you have to get in there, clean it out one more time. That's pretty normal. Now, see this eyebrow? I gave it a little texture. This one doesn't. Let's see, I think I used the paper clip again. I'm just going to kind of dig in and pull out some clay, little flecks of clay. And I'm starting to get that similar kind of texture. I don't want to leave the bottom unaddressed, or even back here a little bit on the very back side. So you need to kind of look everywhere. I'm going to pull out a few little digs of clay out of there, so you kind of give it a little bit of texture. I'm also going to undercut a little bit underneath that eyebrow as well. Okay, if I need to, I'll do a little undercutting under the eyebrow to kind of separate those. If you need to round off fingers, again, look at my finger back here. I'm supporting it. I'm not letting the pressure that I apply, letting it move at all. But those are kind of round. I might have to look at the back side. Oh yeah, on the back side, careful how you hold it. The back side, there's some clay that got kind of pushed around that I need to round off. And this is a change of color, so I'm going to really dig right there. I'm going to, oh, I forgot, back on the foot. See this little piece right here, that little rounded off piece right there? All I did was I took a paper clip, and I didn't dig in right here, I dug in a little bit outside out here. So I got some kind of an indent going, all the way around. Got that indent going, and then I got a very slightly damp finger, and I just kind of rounded it off. So it almost looks like it was some skin or some material that was kind of rounding off as the foot came out. Okay, that's all I did there. Let's see, what else am I doing? Oh, this hair. I'm trying to dig in between some of the bits of hair that are hanging down. I'm taking out negative space. See those right there first. To me, these are kind of bulky, so I'm going to try to take a sharp tool, and kind of take out a little more negative space, so it kind of comes down to somewhat of a point in some parts. Some parts can be round, that's totally fine. Again, all these crumbs should just fall right off. If they're not falling off, your clay's too wet. So I might score in a couple of other little lines to make it look like some hair is kind of splitting right there. I'm going to show you how to do some stuff on the back too. If you want the hair to kind of wrap around the back, that's about all I think you should do if you want to. There's something else we're going to do on the back too, you'll see in a sec. Now this, I'm going to get in there and try to separate the stuff. And then get rid of the crumbs. You always have to go in there and kind of get rid of the crumbs again later, as just like in any other assignment. We're going to get a wet paintbrush and really polish it to get rid of all of the little tool markings. But remember, a very dry paintbrush will help you get some of the crumbs away. Okay, so that's how you get in there and do that. Check out this. See these little sideburns? They weren't there. They are all relief sculpted in. See, they're not over here. So again, if you want, you can kind of plan where you want to do a couple of those little spikes if that's what you're doing. And then carve deep and take some clay out underneath. So at first it looks kind of crummy. Then I'm going to take some clay out underneath, and then I'll do another layer. And that's all it was. I carved a nice heavy line and took some clay out. I carved another heavy line and took some clay out. There's even one more bump of it right there. Okay, and I tried to go around here. Now around the back, it's the exact same thing. If I want to let this hair, and I've done it right here, and I didn't add any of this. This is all relief sculpted. Same exact thing. I'm just going to do a tiny bit of it. There's a line that I'm going to carve out nice and deep. And your coil pot up here should be plenty thick enough to do that. All right, then I'm going to take my little scoop tool, my paper clip. I'm going to take some clay out of this, away from the hair. Now, I'm doing hair, but when you relief sculpt, it's all the same. Doesn't matter what you're relief sculpting. If you want one thing to stick out a little bit, you leave it alone while you take clay away from what's right next to it. Now again, I have some tool markings that will go away when I polish it with a finger and then polish it with a brush as well, but I'm not quite ready to do that because I have a little more to do to finish this off. The last thing I'm going to remind you of, actually I have a bumpity lump right here that I want to kind of get rid of. Then I'll smooth that out as well. We are going to sign it on the back. See? Name, quarter, period. I sign with the year that I made it. You are going to put a B or bills or something like that that says who the teacher is, so we can find it for you again. That will go nice and big on the back, and you'll have to take a picture of that. So hopefully that gives you an idea. When you're handling this, don't bump into these parts that are sticking out. Okay, you'll just knock them right off, and when the clay's a firm leather hard, it's too late to reattach it. Okay, so you have to be super careful with that. Keep it covered, sprinkle inside your bag. When the weather gets warmer, things dry out faster, even if they're under plastic. So I'm not quite done. I will have a finished one in the slideshow after I do all the little carving and wipe it with a firm wet paintbrush and get in there and wiggle around and get rid of all those little tool markings, and you're good to go with your goofy creature, your goofy vase. See ya.